Welcome class 8 students. I am Ain ma'am. Today I am going to discuss the chapters Natural Resources. We have already discussed it in previous audio clippings. Today we will again discuss this chapter elaborately. So let us start. At first we have to know that why we will read natural resources. Actually, in previous classes we have read that our earth is made up with mainly three layers. You know already that crust, mantle and core. Now the crust portion, which is known as lithosphere also, so at that portion or in our surroundings some things are available which have some good value and which has some uses for our everyday life. So we have to read that things are known as resources. Okay, so if we want to discuss the natural resources, then at first we have to know what do you mean by resource. So resource is anything that has some good value or any uses for us. Everybody follow the board. If we want to characterize the natural resources, then we can find three main types. Number 1, natural resources. Number 2, human-made resources. And number 3, human resource. Now, we have to firstly define what is natural resource. Actually, in our surroundings area or in environment, some things are available and which occur naturally. Actually, there has not any human interference. Actually, they can grow in their own way and humans don't interfere at that growing process. So that types of things, that type of resources are known as natural resources. As an example, we can say soil, water or solar energy. Then human-made resources. Actually, human-made resources means which type of natural resources are made by human being, that are known as human-made resources. Such as an example, we can say that suppose cotton. You know that cotton is a plant product, right? So when cotton is available in plants, then it is not resource. When human being turns into and it used for cotton, when human being use cotton for their first aid purpose or makes thread from cotton, then cotton is also turned into human made resource. Okay, understand? In your book there is also another example. Suppose mineral oil. When oil is extracted from a rock, because you have read that rock is a composition of different types of minerals. So when we extract some minerals or some oil from rock, then it become a resource. And when mineral oil is converted to petroleum jelly or turpentine, then it is a human made resource. So there is a relation between natural resource and human made resource. Any natural resources when turned into when it is prepared or when it is made by human beings, then it is known as human made resource. Okay, then at last we will discuss about human resource. Can you say who are the examples? Who is the main example of human resource? Actually, human being is the main example of human resource. But what is the difference between human made resource and human resource? Actually, human resources are the people themselves. So human resources are needed for creating human made resources. So there is also a interrelation between human made resource and human resource. Actually, when human beings make any resources, then the human being themselves are known as human resource. So there is a interrelation between three resources: natural resources, then when natural resources are prepared by any human beings, then it is known as human made resource, and who are the superior of the world, so the human beings are known as the human resource. Understand? So there are mainly three types of resource: natural, human made and human resource. I think you all are clear. Now we have to discuss that how many types of natural resources are there in our environment. Number one, based on origin. Based on origin, there are two types of natural resources: biotic resource and abiotic resource. Bio, this term is related with some living organisms. So any living organisms, suppose plants, human beings, any animals, they are known as the examples of biotic resource. Next, abiotic resource. Actually, abiotic, this term is related with any physical things or non-living things. So that types of resources are known as abiotic resource. As an example, we can say soil, water, anything, tidal energy, anything. So one example of biotic resources, you can say animal, and one example of abiotic, soil. Okay. Then number two, based on renewability. Based on renewability, we can divide our natural resources into two parts: renewable resource and non-renewable resource. Renewable, that means which type of resources can be renewed. They are known as renewable resources, such as soil, forest. They are known as renewable because we can renew that things, soil and forest, or plant also. So that are the examples of renewable resources. As an example, we can write forest. Then non-renewable. Non-renewable means we are unable to renew that resources. It is just impossible for us that we can't renew that things, which are depleted and cannot develop quickly, that are known as non-renewable, such as iron ore, gold, petroleum, and you have already read about coal and petroleum, that are the main examples of fossil fuels, and you have read that they takes a long time to form, right? So they are the main examples of non-renewable resource. So as an example, you can write coal. Next, as an based on the development, you can say that we have categorized our natural resources into two types, and that is actual and potential. Actual and potential, and the main difference between actual and potential resources is the survey method. In actual resources, we use survey method, but in potential resources, we don't use any survey method. So, which resources are known as actual? For knowing the actual resources, we use survey method. Suppose in any area we found any resources, then if we survey that area, that how much quantity and what type of quality, is it good or bad, that type of quality, if it is known by us, then it is known as actual resource. But potential resources means we don't use any survey method, and we don't know that how much quantity and what type of quality the resources are, and how much time that will take for our uses. As an example, we say that the actual resources, you can say the oil fields in Maharashtra, and as an example you can say oil reserves of Saudi Arabia, hydroelectric power of Niagara Falls. In your book there are different types of examples are written. But in potential resource, if we say that solar cooker, we know that solar energy is very friendly for us because they don't pollute the environment. But when we use solar cooker, it takes a very long time to cook, right? So we never use the solar cooker. We always use normal pressure cooker for cooking purpose, because solar cooker takes a very long time and we don't have that enough time. So this is the main difference. Okay, so actual and potential, these are the main two types of natural resources based on development. Then there is also another resources based on availability. And as an example, as an category, you can say that is known as continuous resource. And the example is solar energy. Why solar energy? You can also say tidal energy also, because you know that every day we use solar power and solar energy. We drying our clothes, and for many purposes we use solar energy. Every day we get it, and every day by day we also get it. So there is no limitation for uses, right? So that is known as continuous resources. These resources are always available and do not rely on human action. So solar energy, tidal energy, that are examples of continuous resources. So these are the main types of the resources. Mainly three category, and then the natural resources further divided into different types of category. Now we have to describe that distribution of natural resources. If we want to say that distribution of natural resources, then you know that there are some parameter. What type of parameter? Like, you know that in our continents all places are not same, right? There are some differentiation between altitudes and also climate, weather. So there are different types of altitude, climate, weather, soil quality, anything. So resources are not same. Resources are not same in all area. What are that parameter? Altitude. Number 2, climate. Number 3, landform. Number 4, and within climate you can say temperature and rainfall. Okay, then landform, then soil quality. So these are the main parameters by which we can say that resources are not available evenly in all area. This is because of the different landforms, different soil quality, etc. And technology and large sums of money are also required to convert natural raw material into resources. So technology is also another parameter. And I have already discussed you that suppose in Japan is a earthquake prone area. So at that place, I have told you that the buildings are made up with some elastic material that in earthquake prone area that buildings will not destroy by that hazards. by that disaster. But in our area, if that type of earthquake will occur, like in Richter scale, if it will cross 6 or 7, then it is known as very destructive earthquake. If it will occur in our area, then our buildings, anything, our house or build any multi-storied building, everything will be destroyed, right? So technology is another parameter. So for example, we can say that mineral reserves at a particular place might have been abundant at one point of time but exhausted after 150 or 200 years. So if this question will come that why natural resources are not evenly distributed, then you can say that resources are not evenly distributed because they are dependent by some parameter, by some factors. Then you can discuss about that points. Understand? And you also know that in your chapter there are some short note like what do you mean by biofuel, what do you mean by deplete. You all have to read this. Okay. Now if we want to discuss human made resource, then we also have to discuss one thing that is known as technology. Actually, when natural resources, any natural resources are turned into any any raw material, when any natural raw material, turned into natural resources, then human being use technology. So this is the main thing. Human beings use technology. What type of technology? How good and how bad? What type of technology a human being use? That is known as the main parameter of the resources. Okay, and in which technology they are using for turning the raw material into natural resources, that is known as the technological process. So this is the main thing which a human being use. Okay, and next, human resource, we have already discussed that human being are the main examples of human resources. And what are the main factor of the human resources? Yes, the main thing is their willpower. Next, knowledge capacity, and then obviously technology. Okay, so and yes, you can say the ideas, skill, anything, and you can also add any points. Actually, when any human being is themselves called as resources, if you actually in my class there are different types of students, but you have to know that all of my student has different types of willpower, different types of knowledge capacity. And when we make any project, any activity based project, then they use different types of technology, different types of their own ideas and their skill power. So which human being has a best willpower, best knowledge capacity, and when they use the best technology, then they are the best, and they are known as the best creator of the world. And so you know that we all have that power, just we have to use it. Okay, so these are the main factor of human resources. Now we have already discussed about the resources. Now we have to discuss that these resources which have a good value and which are very useful for our everyday purpose, then our duty is to conserve that thing. So, resources are needed, conservation, and sustainable development is also needed. Why we conserve our natural resources? Because suppose you know that every day we use solar energy, every day we drink water, every day we also taking different types of dishes, and who grows that thing? Our farmers also. So these all are our needs. So this is our duty, obviously our duty, who are responsible for depleting our nature. So this is obviously our duty to conserve our resources. So you know that our world is threatening by urbanization, by ever increasing demands of people, and then population, because every day by day our population is increasing day by day. So their demands are also increasing. So that's why you know that some resources are limited in our nature. So we have to conserve that resources. If we don't conserve, then we have to know that we are men responsible for this. Human activities have been identified, as one of the main causes, and consider the degradation of air through air pollution and water pollution, soil and land pollution, because we sometimes also use some chemical fertilizers, chemical things in land. So in this way we also polluting our land. Then deforestation, we are cutting down trees. Then in our hilly area, mountainous area, I have told you that some businessmen are creating some multi-storied building, which at that area they know that soil has not capacity for that type of multi-storied building, although they are building that types of multi-storied building. But as a result, we will face some landslide, earthquake, this type of hazards or this type of disaster. So for this purpose we have to conserve the resources. Okay, now sustainable development is a way. Why? Because sustainable development is to use resources without depleting without depleting them, and also to look after the social and environmental effects of such use. Actually we have to use the resources, but in such a way we have to use that resources will not be depleting. At that way we have to resource. Suppose if we use our running water, then we don't waste water. Okay, and if we practice agriculture, then always we have to try that use any natural fertilizer, biofertilizer, not any chemical fertilizer. So in this way we can conserve our resources. Okay, so this is the main thing, and we have some duty. What type of duty? Suppose we can turn off the lights, and we can recycle paper, and we can walk for short distance. This type of many points, it's written in your book, and not it is not for the writing in the book, not for gathering knowledge. You have to also use it. Okay students, you also have to use it in our if in our home or in our school campus, in any area. If we see that any running water is going out, then this is our duty to turn off the tap. Okay, and if we see that if in any room the lights and fans are on, then it is our duty to turn off that thing. So these are the examples. So in this way we can conserve our resources. So in this chapter you have to know and you have to gather the idea about natural resource, their types, their conservation method and the sustainable development. Okay, I think you all are clear, and I have already know that you have read that chapter. Also I am today again discussing it, so I think now it is totally clear. Okay students, thank you.